Hey team, this is your fearless leader Courtney Hill, and I just thought I would create a little small video to kind of start us off this new semester. Welcome to 2020, huh? And I thought I would just kind of give you a couple updates on some things that we were going to be looking at, and then I also wanted to give you a little bit of a video walkthrough on one of our major problems when it came to groups this last go around that we kind of had a little bit of a group chat about, some discussion about, and I just wanted to kind of show you some things and put you in the driver's seat when it came to controlling your groups. And then hopefully things will be fixed from BYU Idaho. Okay, hopefully. But if they're not, and also if you wanted to make adjustments too, and I do like to make adjustments for mine, so I did not have the issues that we experienced as a group because I make my own adjustments anyways. So maybe you'd like to follow that same pattern. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then just to kind of let you see my face and say hello and get us started off. So let's do it. Let me switch screens here just a little bit. Okay, here we are. So you're in the middle of your course. You've clicked on one of your courses, and there's a couple things that we're going to start. Let's just start off with the group question that we had and give you some help and context to that too. If you go over to the People's tab right here, and you click on People's tab, you're going to see all of your individual students inside of your course, which is where it starts with, everyone. And you can look up a certain individual here, and then you can also separate this list into roles within the actual whoever's in the course to see who's a designer or an observer. You have designers and observer start into your course later on, but not right now. So you can see I have 49 students, and then you've got this tab that you need to work with within the first week. They'll tell you to make sure that you've assigned these individuals to the groups and that they've created for you already. Okay. Now sometimes that can be a problem, and we'll show you some inherent difficulties with that, but we'll also show you how to work around that too. But there's a couple ways to assign individuals to groups, and this principle will follow later on too. But let's just take what they've given to us here. And if I want to put Peyton Bird in a group, I can just add him to group 1 just like that. And Peyton Bird now is in group 1 just like that. And if I want to go through this list, I can just every other group add somebody. Or if I want to just fill up one group at a time, I can just throw all these individuals into one group and then go to the next group and keep my numbers the same that I'd like to. One of the difficulties that you'll see inside of this formula is obviously it takes a lot of time. You got to go in here and click on each individual and add them. So most of us, and I'm assuming that you're familiar with this, most of us go over here to the group tab and we just go randomly assign students. And you just hit OK right here, and then there's an option here to require group members to be in the same section. As of right now, we might hear later on, but they have broken our courses into 2 separate tabs, so we no longer have all of our groups in one tab. So that isn't really necessary right now because everybody in here is in the same section. You hit OK, and then it'll generate your students, and it'll pull everybody off of this list who is currently in your course right now as of today, and it'll generate them all throughout this. It'll populate them in all these different groups. Now a couple difficulties with that you're going to notice. If you go in and do it like all of us do during week 1, because this is a group that's set that's being used in group 2, which is why you want to have it set before that. You get it all done, let's say on Wednesday of your first week, and then you have a student come add. Student adds your course, and automatically they're not defaulted to any of these groups. So let's simulate that. You'll come in here and you'll find out, oh, I can't put this person out of a group. I thought I could just throw them out here. Oh, you can. So I took that person out. So this is what's going to happen. You'll come in here again and you'll notice that now Ashley Brush just out of the course, let's say hypothetically on Wednesday, and you've got to add her to one of these groups. That's what you've got to do. And so what you'll do is you'll have to come in here manually at that point, add Ashley to one of those groups, and you would usually choose the group with the least amount of students in it. And you would also have to do that multiple times as you have students add. Sometimes you don't know that they've added your course So you have to come here and check it periodically. I've been caught even into week 2, sometimes even into week 3, because I'll add them in week 2 for you. A student hanging out here and not realize that they're not even in a group. So that's a difficulty about the system, and sometimes we don't actually know that they're actually in there. So that's something you should be aware of and come here. I just usually make a stop in here several times throughout the first week. Now, a couple things that will help us, you'll notice that there isn't another group set up here. You just have one, and you'll want to change this group set for a couple reasons, because you want to have you want to add a group set. Usually halfway through the course is what they ask us to change the groups by, but you can change them anytime you want. And so a couple things I do is, and this is something I do because I like to personally add different groups, and I like to manipulate those groups a lot. Sometimes I change them more than twice. So to do that, you just come up here to group set, you're going to add one, and you type in the group name. And then you can allow students to sign up, and I've had various success with that. Sometimes that's fun. Sometimes it's not really helpful, and it just gives the students something extra to do, and some of them won't sign up. So I usually don't allow sign up, but you can try that out. And then it says split the students into numbers of groups. You can do that. If you do create manually, it's going to put you back. Let's do that. I'll just create manually so you can see what that looks like. And all it's going to do is basically put you back to where you were with the first set of students over here to the left, everybody in your course. And then you're going to have to add groups manually. So you're going to say, oh, this is group 1. And you can also limit the groups to a certain number of members here if you'd like to. So you could say I only want 11 students maximum in this group. And then what you'll see is your group that you've created, and then you'll also see the number of maximum students allowed, and then there'll be a little sandwich over here that you can click on to continue to manipulate things. So if you choose to manipulate this, one of the things you can do is if you edit, you're going to be able to change the number of students that are maximum in there. That's really helpful. And then the other thing you can do is change the group name again if you want to. If you do it this way and then you create 5 or 6 or 4, and this is one of the things that I like. Let's do this again up here. I'll show you another method. I like to do a group set that looks like this. This is pretty common. As I'm kind of going through the semester and I'm seeing kind of things fluctuate and seeing certain groups participate, some, others not, what I'll do is I'll try to change the numbers sometimes. So what I'll do is I'll maybe do this, and I'll create an automatic set of just 4 instead of 5. Okay, and one of the things that does for me is automatically it will populate the students randomly into 4 groups, and then it's going to put them it's going to balance those numbers out for me as part of this. And that can be helpful for you to only create 4 groups. And I can also manipulate these numbers here as well. And it gives me, as you can see, automatically a little bit higher number of groups inside of there. I've also had students report to me and say, Brother Hill, I'd like to have, for me, I feel like there's too many people and lots of threads. And so I'll actually sometimes split this into 6 groups. And you can manipulate it that way as part of it. And if you create whatever group sets up here that you're creating and you're manipulating the students in here randomly, or if you'd like to, you could still create, like we did with this first group, we could actually create it and set up our groups however we wanted with individuals that we know that are participating highly and some of them that aren't. So we can kind of balance that out. You're able to have these group sets now every time you go to your discussions to assign them a group set. So I can go into my discussions, and when I go to assign a group set for that discussion, as long as it's done before the discussion starts, I'll have a drop-down window inside of there, and I'll show you that here in just a second. And it'll have religion or REL 121 group discussion group. It'll show up as a test and a test 2 and a test 3. Okay, and you can make these more friendly names. I usually make them first half of the course, second half, or I name them through the weeks, just depending on how it's convenient for you. You don't need to keep these once you've used them and you said, I don't really like that. I don't really feel like that's a good deal for me. You can go to the group section and you can just delete. It'll give you a prompt just to make sure you do want to delete it. And once you delete it, now you're going to actually delete that group set, and test 3 now is gone. So I no longer have that. So you really can come in here and play around with things and say, I want to try this, see what it looks like. If you don't like it, you can delete it. Again, this doesn't affect your course at all, these extra group sets, because you have to actually set them in the discussion boards. And let me just show you how you do that really fast here that you might have. This video is over 10 minutes, so I might have to make 2 separate ones for you, because this I wanted to make sure I was really clear on how this works for you, so you can actually see. Let's go to week 6 discussion boards, and then when you click on one of your discussion boards, you're going to go to Edit, and it's going to bring up all the parameters that you can now use within that discussion board. And there's several options here that you might like to use, depending on, I don't usually ever change these, but sometimes you might want to change some things here depending on what you're trying to accomplish. This is where you're going to get to the group discussion sets that you've created right here. Because we're in week 6 and they default that group set that you've created inside of the actual BYU course as created for us, those first half of the semester, they default to this group set, the 121. But now you can see my other group sets that are left inside of that example, and I can click on any one of these and apply it to this discussion board, and it instantly changes all those groups to that for this discussion board. And then there's other options here that we could change based off certain parameters that we want. If you want to give someone extra time, you would add another ability for someone to access the discussion board at different times here. And then all you do is save this, and now that group set, whatever one you put here, is now defaulted to that. Let's cancel that and go to one other one. I want to go to the discussion boards again for you. Let's go forward to the last week of discussion boards. If I can click on that again for you, sorry. And then you're going to notice that the discussion boards are set up right here for weeks 2 through 7. Discussion group 2, right here, for example, that's the discussion group set up inside of it. You're going to have to go here to Edit, and you're going to notice here that they've set up, and it looks like what they've done this semester for us then is they've defaulted the discussion groups to that first set for every week. So in other words, your students are set up for the same discussion group for every week for the whole semester. Right now is the way it's set up in our courses. And I didn't know that until just now, looking at that with you. So you would have to come here and change that if you wanted to have a variety inside of your discussion groups, or wanted to change the numbers inside of the discussion groups, or any of those things that we're kind of looking at. And again, it's really easy to do if you just go to people and populate those discussion groups the way you want. And then your different discussion sets will set up here. And now that test 2 set that I just put together would be what this week would look like for the students if I left it like that. I'm gonna stop there just for the sake of time, because I don't want to give you a ton of stuff, but I think this is a great walkthrough for you. I hope it is, for that discussion group discussion that we had earlier last semester, and gives you some good answers and some good thoughts to use and some good principles to follow. I really like to manipulate my discussion groups a lot because I feel like it gives life to the students, but at the same token, I like to really give them some continuity so they can visit with the same students. I've tried splitting the discussions just in half, so there's only 2 groups, so they get a whole ton of students to visit with, which is where they kind of find some of those people that they like. And then I've tried to, throughout the semester now, I'm talking about, and I've tried all kinds of different things that would be a blessing to the student, just through asking them, hey, how's discussion groups going? What do you feel about them? And that's where I've gotten that feedback from them to manipulate that as part of it. Well, I hope this is a great help and just a good introduction to the discussion groups. I'll visit with you again just about a general introduction to the courses for this semester, but I'm thinking about you. I hope you guys have had a great, happy holidays, and I'm hoping that things continue to go well for you. And I look forward to being with you through our teaching and also through helping the students here at BYU Idaho and working with such great individuals like you. Thank you for all your time and effort, and thanks for the kind emails that you've been sending to me, and the thoughts that and the tips that you've been giving to me of questions and things and whatnot. All right, we'll see you soon.